You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You are watching A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am so excited today. I can hardly contain myself. This is our 99th show of A Better You since February, and coming up in 3 short hours is our 100th episode. We are nearing 500 shows since August of last year, and I just want to thank our team on A Better You. 100 episodes since February is amazing. Today, we have 2 incredible people in the house to present. One is a reoccurring expert, Red O'Laughlin, and the other is somebody who is new to our platform. I'm just going to keep mum's the word and keep it a secret for right now, but her topic is really interesting too. So before we begin, I have something that I want to share with you about something that I'm doing. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody, you think it's a conversation, it's really one way, and you finally say, "Are you listening to me? Do you hear anything that I'm saying to you?" And the person's reading something, newspaper, watching TV. "Oh yeah, I'm listening to you." And they're really not listening to you. And it doesn't feel so good, does it? Or maybe you're the one who's been doing it. Either way, I have the solution for you. I am running an online seminar, and it is all about the power of listening. And I would love for you to join me. I'm looking for the graphic here. It's the power of listening. It's September 16th. My team is over in the UK, so they put the $ after the 47, but it's $47. We're actually running a special right now. We will be doing this every month. So if you and a friend want to come, or you and your significant other, so that you can really work on how to listen and hear each other better to have more effective communication and more effective relationships. All right, without further ado, let me bring on our 2 expert presenters. Here we have Red and Krista. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn.
Howdy.
Hi, so nice to have both of you here today. So I just want to let our audience know that this is not an interview show. There will be no interviews conducted here today. This is all about short presentations to help make us better personally and or professionally. So each of our 2 experts today will have 15 minutes to present. Now, if they go over a little, come on, it's not a big deal. But the lesson and what they're sharing with us is really relevant and important across the globe. So before we begin, I'd like to spotlight each of you and have you share a couple things with us. So tell us what it is you do in the world, and who it is you usually work with, and what will you be sharing today. So 3 things, and I'll remind you of them. And Red, since you're at the top, I'm going to start with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacalyn. I'm an independent publisher. I work with new authors primarily to get their first book out, and there's a lot of different things that can be done in the writing and publishing world. First thing I do is I answer their questions, and if they can do it themselves, fantastic. I'll help them along the way. But if they get to a place where they're stuck, more than happy to help them. But one of the things I really do enjoy doing is research, and I consider myself a researcher, and I'll talk a little bit more about that down the road. But when I look at a various aspect of health and wellness, which is where I try to do most of my research, I look for cause and effect relationships, and I'll go into some detail. But that's really what I write about, what I speak about, and in between that, I just kind of like a one-stop shop for new authors that think that a book might be of some value to them. And turn it back over to Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Red. And for those who don't know, I worked with Red, and my book was a #1 bestseller in less than 2 weeks. And we're pretty much finished the second book, but we're not going to launch it until next year because we've got a lot of other things we're doing that are cool before that. So thank you. And Krista, please tell us about you, who you work with, and what you'll be presenting today.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Jacalyn. My name is Krista Karpowich, and I am top dog at Wag Out Loud. And I have a podcast, and it comes out every week. And what we do is our focus is on how you can be the best advocate for your dog's health and wellness. Half of the dogs in the world get cancer and die from cancer. So I am here to help you take all of this information from out there and bring it here and choose the best options to keep your dog healthy, happy, and to live longer.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here. And Krista was a guest on presenting Pet Psychic Amina, and I was really intrigued by the work that she's doing. And I think it's kind of interesting that Red is focused on longevity for humans, and Krista, you're really for canines. So it's kind of like a nice, what's that called?
Synergy.
Synergy. Yes, you win the prize. Synergy. Ginsu knives for you. Okay. All right. So the way it's going to work is Red, because he's been here before, will go first. Krista, you and I will go backstage. We will be listening, taking notes. Then we'll come on and we'll just share with Red anything that we've picked up from his presentation. We'll go to commercial break. Then Krista will come back to you. Red and I will go backstage, and then we'll engage with you. And then that's it for today. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Sounds perfect. I didn't get the word on basic black today, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. You've got black headphones. So, all right. Red, would you like the timer?
Absolutely. Just keeps me honest. I don't think I'm going to use it all today because we're kind of exhausting this topic on Alzheimer's. But yes, I would love the timer today. Thank you.
All right, sir. Part 4 of Alzheimer's. Take it.
Hi, Red here. Today is number 4 in our presentation series on Alzheimer's. I have at least 2 more. I might make 3 more. I don't know. Seems like every time I delve into this, I'm finding something new. I've written 2 new blogs in the last couple of weeks about causes of Alzheimer's that I didn't know existed that are definitely a cause. But today I'm talking about excitotoxicity. And for things in general, we're just going to call it toxicity rather than excitotoxicity. But I am not a medical doctor. I've never worked in the pharmaceutical field. That's my disclaimer. I have nothing to do with that. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, biochemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always treat symptoms. My area of expertise is in longevity. I've written a couple of books on that. My best-selling book is The Joy of Ageless Health. And my second one that goes into a lot more detail is on longevity secrets for healthy aging, how to live to 100 years of age with the body of a healthy 50-year-old and the mind of a 25-year-old. And today we're talking more on the mind. I have a section in that book on brain health, but I'm digging into the aspects of Alzheimer's. It seems to be one of those diseases as we age that is happening because the risk of it goes up every year, especially after we turn around 65. The risk doesn't go away. It just keeps increasing, but there are a lot of things we can do to counter it. And the information I present is for awareness and education, but it's also to take this information and talk to your doctor about it. Everything that I talk about here is on my website. I'll be writing a blog today covering this topic, excitotoxicity and Alzheimer's, as is all the other topics that I've talked about. So if you have any difficulty at all, redolaughlin.com without the apostrophe if you're looking at their own TV screen. But Alzheimer's is a progressive mental disease that destroys memory and mental functions. The brain connections degenerate and die. Memory loss, confusion are typically the things we see at the very, very beginning. And it's not where did I leave the car keys at? It's more than that. And sometimes it starts out, can't remember the right word because we're just not getting that part. Sometimes you start seeing impaired judgments. People leave something on the stove too long. Just a lot of problems there. And according to everything that we read nowadays, there is no cure. Now, if you go to Dr. Google and say, what causes Alzheimer's? They're going to tell you it's an abnormal buildup of amyloid beta proteins, which form plaques, or it's a tangling of the tau protein. But they don't go into what causes those things. They just say, when you have it, you have Alzheimer's. And so as I did my research, I start looking at what causes the very, very beginning. And
well, things happen. Red disappeared. Krista, are you there? Hello, everyone. I guess they're having some technical difficulties. And I think we will take a break and go to commercial. And hopefully Red will be back to join us then. All right, we're going to commercial break. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time. And no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello, and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. If you're just joining us, this is our 99th show since February, and Mr. Red O'Loughlin was in the middle of giving his presentation. There were technological issues. So, sir, would you like to continue?
Absolutely. I was
right.
talking about the initial causes of Alzheimer's, and about 3 episodes back, we talked about inflammation, which is essentially the cause of literally every disease. Starts at the cellular level, becomes chronic over time, mutations occur, and disease starts. Antioxidants treat those, keep them under control. But when inflammation outpowers the antioxidants, now we enter the next level, which is the oxidative stress level. And that's where things start to get real serious, particularly in the brain. We talked about that in a previous episode. Then I went into some detail on the next episode after that about acetylcholine, which is one of the primary neurotransmitters in the brain, and what happens when you have a chemical imbalance in the brain and how that ends up into an Alzheimer's situation. Today, I'm going to talk about excitotoxicity. And in that part, we're talking about another neurotransmitter primarily called glutamate. And then in the future, we'll talk into detail about the amyloid beta plaques and the tau tangles. So right now, I'm going to shift over from the acetylcholine that we talked about last time with chemical imbalance to an excitotoxicity. To try to cover them both in one session is just too much information. But from a toxicity perspective, the nerve has normal communications going back and forth. And when the nerve damage occurs because you have an overabundance of glutamate, they don't die immediately. They just kind of just really get crazy, and then just to get overwhelmed, and they can't handle it. It's just too much information. And glutamate is one. When that usually happens, one of the outsiding things of that is typically epilepsy or seizures. A corollary to glutamate, and we'll be talking a little bit about that today, is GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA, and it also has tendencies to form into epilepsy and seizures. Acetylcholine goes straight into Alzheimer's, and we're going to look at how glutamate also has an effect in Alzheimer's, big effect. Dopamine is another neurotransmitter. When there's a problem with that one, usually end up seeing Parkinson's. Serotonin is another one that when there's issues there, we end up with depression more so than anything else. But glutamate has been linked to MS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. People usually refer to that as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's also involved with Huntington's disease. So the pathology for the glutamate is too much there. It's needed, absolutely needed. In fact, I was looking earlier today, each of us probably have about 4 pounds of glutamate in our bodies. It's that pervasive in our bodies. But it's needed for normal brain development. It's needed for our memories. It's needed for muscle function. One of the areas it's really used in is to get food processed through our gut. So it's more than just a brain transmitter. But when you have how it causes too much glutamate? Well, a stroke is one. How many people do you know from a stroke that just don't quite have their brain back to normal when things are done? Head injury, traumatic stress. Sometimes you might see a little bit of it tied up with too much caffeine. Vitamin D B6 deficiency causes problems with your GABA, your gamma-aminobutyric acid. And when that happens, now the offset, your GABA actually creates the glutamate creates the GABA, but when the GABA is not there, there's a balance that's missing, and that balance tips things in the favor of glutamate. And when the glutamate happens, let's say you have a stroke or a head injury, the glutamate in the cells is released, and all of a sudden it becomes a poison that just permeates like a dam bursting. If you think about the water being held back in the dam is your glutamate. It's needed. You got 10,000 times more glutamate in that cell area than you do outside, but it's protected. It's there. It's part of the normal brain function. But all of a sudden something happens and this glutamate just erupts because of the dam breakage. And now it just floods the area, and just all of a sudden the brain is in that whatever area is going crazy. And that is what happens, that evolves. Now they tried, glutamate inhibitors, and unless you're getting it right in the exact area where the dam burst, there's problems. So it becomes a very serious problem. So what can you do as I try to stay with the natural options as possible, but how do we tame down the glutamate? And sometimes it's getting the right foods, but yeah, we can overdose on monosodium glutamate. The glutamate is not quite the same thing. Overdose on caffeine, but in reality, I don't think the foods are near the issue that a lot of things there. If we're trying to live a normal, healthy life, generally don't have a problem. But some of the things, if we do happen to have high levels or approaching high levels, there are certain natural things that will calm that down. Just like the GABA is a calming one. And if you look at GABA, the gamma-aminobutyric acid, it's one of those ones that just kind of relieves the stress in the body, whereas the GABA gets everything up and get going. So, but curcumin and resveratrol, two ones I've mentioned previously. And if you're buying it as an over-the-counter supplement, make sure that it has black pepper extract in it, because that piperine is required to make curcumin and resveratrol both bioavailable in the body. Without it, you're just getting a little bit, but 2,000 times more bioavailability when you have the black pepper extract. Quercetin, green tea. I've talked a lot about green tea in the past. The epigallocatechin, gallate, EGCG, catechin in there, but there are other catechins in green tea. White tea is another one for reducing glutamate. Omega-3 fatty acids. Taurine, Taurine, is a great one. Ginger, vitamin C, CoQ10. PQQ, one of the ones my favorite, Perillo, quinoline, PQQ. It's just a master antioxidant for the brain. I've talked about that before, that you get that in the brain and it can be regenerated 25,000 times. So you get one molecule, it's like an army of 25,000. Magnesium, if you're not doing anything else, magnesium is probably one of the most beneficial nutrients the body can have, because it's needed in so many applications in the body. About 300 different enzymes depend on it, 300 enzymatic operations. Zinc, N-acetylcysteine, those kinds of things. And these are the same things we talked about with regard to acetylcholine and several other issues, inflammation, oxidative stress. So the same things that take care of that, take care of this. Now what happens, I mentioned gamma-aminobutyric acid. If it becomes too low, now we have a problem, because that calming effect isn't there to offset the excito effect of the glutamate. And now we have to increase the GABA a little bit. And in doing that, shellfish is a good one. Fermented foods, sauerkraut, yogurt, kimchi for those who like that, miso. Beans and lentils are good ones. Potatoes, tomatoes, seaweed. All of those are excellent sources to increase the GABA in our body. Again, as I'm talking about these things, a lot of terms I'm using may not sound familiar, but they're in writing on my website. The website I have, again, is just information only, awareness, education. This is not meant for you to go talk to your doctor or just start an arbitrary, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and start reducing glutamate. This is not what it's entitled to do. This is an awareness and an education presentation, and that's all it should be viewed as. But if there's some things in there that make sense to you and say, hey, maybe I really need to have this checked, check out my website, talk to your doctor, Google it, but it gives you a place to start in order to have an intelligent conversation with your physician. I'm turning back over to Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you.
Hello. Let me bring Krista out. Hi.
Hello.
Wow, that was brilliant. I was looking. Yes, a lot of terminology that I need a tutoring session about.
We're all here to learn, right?
Absolutely. So, Red, the one thing that you brought up, which I think is so important, and some of us have had experience witnessing it, or people in our lives, is if we don't take care of what we put into ourselves now, there could be long-term effects that are, pretty significant, especially when it comes to our memory and to our mind. So you mentioned magnesium as being really important, and that's not one that I'm actually doing anything about.
Well, magnesium is needed in so many different areas. Let's just take bone health, for instance. We talk about the need to have calcium to get in the body, but unless you have magnesium, it's going to end up in the toilet. It has to have it in order to get processed bioavailably. As it's passing out of the stomach, it goes through the duodenum. If you don't have enough vitamin D3, it ends up in the toilet. So you need magnesium to get the start of it. But it's not only that. The vitamin D3, when you get it from whether you take it from pills or you get it from sunlight, it gets into the liver. You need that magnesium as that precursor in order to get that vitamin D actually into a semi-usable form. And then as it gets processed in the kidneys, now comes out as a real vitamin D3 that can be used in the rest of the body. But that magnesium has to be able to convert that vitamin D3. So, we don't even think about magnesium as part of anything after that, but the vitamin D3 gets into the bloodstream. The calcium now has two places to go. It can go to the heart valves and arteries if you don't have enough vitamin K2, or it ends up in the bones where you want it to go. So just drinking milk does not make a body stronger. It gets some calcium into the body, but you need the magnesium, you need the vitamin D3, and you need the vitamin K2. And without the rest of the package, everything ends up in the toilet or places where you don't want it, which is called plaque on your arteries, which can be devastating at times. But as you say, it doesn't start with a single meal. It doesn't start with a single year of misuse of something. But the same thing, we're creatures of habit. Things happen, and we just kind of continue. And this month becomes a year. This year becomes a decade. This decade becomes, okay, now you're middle age. Now things happen. And if you get something like a pandemic on top of all that, and your immune system is challenged, and you got diabetes and 2 or 3 other things, now you're in a world of hurt. So this
well
is all
said.
So if you control everything at the beginning, it doesn't matter whether you start at 55 or 25. You're starting the body. It's very adaptive. It'll take good care of itself.
Take that first step to do right by yourself. Thank you. Krista, any feedback that you'd like to provide to Red?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. And it's so funny that we are on the same show, because everything that you were saying, Red, just resonates with me with canine nutrition. And one thing that you mentioned was inflammation is the cause of disease. And I totally agree with you. And our dogs and ourselves are eating so much processed foods that are causing this inflammation. And I wanted to ask you your thoughts on glyphosate, because if you look at when glyphosate started being sprayed on the crops back in the 70s, Roundup, that herbicide, if you put Alzheimer's and the other leading diseases against that chart, it goes exactly the same upward spiral that, you increase the spraying of glyphosate, you're getting increases in Alzheimer's. Do you agree?
Any toxin, regardless of whether it comes from a pesticide, an insecticide, a preservative, an artificial color, artificial flavor, they're all creating problems. Europe has banned a lot of things that the United States still uses. The same products that Kellogg's or somebody like that produces in Europe, they have to adhere to those standards, but they're still producing them over here the old-fashioned way with all the extra stuff in it. When I look at labels, I'm an avid reader of labels. They're not going to say glyphosate on the outside. That's not one of the things, because it's not an ingredient. It's something put on it that gets processed. But the glyphosate in fact, I stopped drinking California wines about 7-8 years ago, because even the organic wines out there have glyphosate in. You just can't get it in everything.
That's a great
and
point.
So it's a toxic chemical that creates a lot of problems, and the the lowest amount tolerable is still too much, but we have so much control. Underarm deodorant, shampoo, anything you put on your skin with the nanotechnology goes right straight into the bloodstream and is there. It's a bad situation, and glyphosate it's in the top 3, I'm sure.
Yep. Thank you.
Wow, I think I'm going to step outside and get an encyclopedia or something so I can keep up with you guys. Oh, thank you so much, Fred. That was excellent. Krista, are you ready to go, or would you like me to go to a commercial break?
I'm ready.
All right. Take it away, Krista. The stage is yours. Would you like the timer? It's 15 minutes.
Sure. And I'm going to do not death by PowerPoint, but just something fun to look at. So I'm going to do a share screen here.
Excellent. All right. Here we go. It's still coming up. Okay. We're going to see you later. We'll be backstage.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Krista, and why are my slides? I'm so sorry. My slides are getting away from me. Okay. Well, obviously, you are a dog lover if you are here to listen to what I have to share. I am the weekly host of the Wag Out Loud podcast, and it's a little over 2 years old. And we focus on canine health and wellness. So I have experts from all over the world in the industry on every week. I am learning every single day, how do we take care of our dogs so that they are healthier and live longer, because of course they're not around as long as we would like. So the question most asked by our followers is, can I feed my dog a healthy diet while on a budget? And I say yes. Yes. There are many things that we can do to enhance the nutrition that our dogs are receiving. And I just want to share some of my tips with you. And this is a statistic from the American Pet Products Association, is that people spent upwards of $38 billion on food and treats for their pets last year in 2020. So that's a little over 1 billion more than in 2019. That is a lot of money. Is it being spent correctly, is my question. So as Red alluded to, inflammation is the cause of disease. So our dogs, and most of them, as everybody knows, are being fed a kibble diet. So a dry processed, I use the term lightly, food. And the fact is, over half of our dogs, especially those over the age of 10, are dying from cancer. So we need to look at how we are feeding our dogs is affecting their health. So, of course, all of us want to do the best for our dogs. We want to give them the best nutrition possible. We hear all of these marketing claims out there. We go to the store and we see a bag of dog food with a big steak on it. Oh, this must be the best dog food that I can buy and give to my dog. Many of us do have budget limitations. So store-bought kibble is very convenient and it's relatively low priced when you compare that to a fresh or a raw diet. But kibble does have a lot of nutritional shortfalls. So before I start, I don't want to make anybody feel like they're being shamed at all. I am not shaming anybody. I am a dog mom. I'm a dog parent just like you. And before I started doing all this research and actually taking courses for canine nutrition, I was feeding kibble. That was what we were supposed to do. So I did not know any better. But now that I've learned and I've been educated, there are things that we can do still on a budget to enhance our dog's nutrition. So let's go back to kibble, because that's what many of us feed. And these dry processed foods, as you probably know, are made at a very high temperature, and then they're cooled and mixed with a synthetic vitamin mineral premix. And it's because the high heat cooking of the ingredients leaves you with no vitamins and minerals. So they put them back in. But a lot of these premixes contain preservatives and taste enhancers and colorants, and many of them are carcinogens, are, poisonous to our dogs. So if I were to compare it to us, if we eat Captain Crunch cereal for every meal, every day for the rest of our lives, that's poor nutrition. And we can add fresh food to a processed diet if that is what you choose to feed your dog, and you're going to do so much better by them. So many of us are on a limited budget. Many of us have, let's say, a household of 5 big dogs. How can we afford to feed better? Because those costs add up quickly. When you're looking at a commercial food, one thing that I would love for you to do, of course, is read the label and look for brands that have specific types of meat. It's listed beef, chicken, lamb, pork. If it has meal or meal byproducts, that could come from any animal if it's not called out. For instance, if it says poultry meal, that can be any bird. So could that be chicken, turkey, duck? You don't know. So try to avoid labels that just have meal. Dogs fed a kibble diet, it's been shown in studies they've had elevated inflammatory markers in their blood, and then those markers went down when they're fed a whole food diet. So we talked about the glyphosate. That's an herbicide found in the Roundup, which is also in dog food. And people ask me, what about grain-free? Well, peas and legumes, they are shown to have the most glyphosate and causing this low-grade inflammation in your pet's body. So I would try to stay away from those. Also, dyes, sugar, high salt, BHA, BHT, ethoxyquin, all of those. If you can't understand what's on the label, I would try to stay away from those. So one of my first tips, add fresh foods. So if you are feeding the dry food, you can add to it. So in a perfect world, if you weren't on a budget, of course, I say a raw or a fresh food diet is best. But if you're feeding a kibble, I recommend Visionary Keto Pet Foods. They are a very low carb dry food with well-sourced ingredients. I love them, and they also have freeze-dried and frozen products as well. But if you're looking for a convenient dry food, they have a wonderful product. Also, Farmina, Buckley, that is found at Whole Foods, or Nature's Variety. If you're going to go the kibble route, those are the ones I recommend. And look for the least amount of carbohydrates, because dogs do not have any nutritional need for carbohydrates. They do great on just protein and fat. So if you're going to add to your kibble, maybe add a little bit of meat, cooked or raw, ground, cubed, however you'd like to do that. Just put it on as a topper. Eggs. Eggs are the world's perfect protein. So they contain all the amino acids. Do some scrambled eggs or raw eggs if you would prefer. Canned sardines in water. Oh my gosh, these are amazing. Very inexpensive at the grocery store. I think I can buy 3 for $1. Again, make sure they're in water, and they're a great source of omega-3 fatty acids and other nutrients that can help reduce inflammation. Another huge one is sauteed, pureed, or lightly steamed dark leafy greens. You can even buy them frozen, but dogs cannot digest the plant fiber from most vegetables, so you need to pulverize it or steam it so that their bodies can digest it. So a study at Purdue showed that dogs on a diet of dry commercial pet food, they were fed the leafy vegetables 3 times a week. They were 90% less likely to develop cancer than dogs that weren't. So just adding those green leafy vegetables 3 times a week, oh my gosh. What about blueberries? Oh my gosh, my dog Winston loves blueberries, and they have the phytonutrients and the antioxidants, and you only need to feed a few because they do have sugar, natural sugar. So just be careful not to feed too many. You can add a freeze-dried topper to your kibble. That would be amazing. There's so many great brands out there. And one more thing, if you do feed a kibble diet, add water, because most dogs fed dry food are in a chronic state of dehydration. So you really want to make sure that they're getting enough moisture. You also want to add omega-3 fatty acids. I mentioned before just feeding sardines and water. You can also do supplements. I don't like raping our oceans by feeding fish oil. So you can do, I know that I've got a company that I love. This is Natrix One. This is camelina and olive oil. This has all the right omegas in it, and that's on my website. This is one that I'm trying right now called Safe Sea, and I'm really liking this one. This is New Zealand green lip mussel and the ahi flower oil. So that's really good. Another thing I want to recommend is Raw Vibrance by Dr. Harvey's. This is everything you need as a base. You just add water, and then you add your own protein and your own oil. And this is really cost effective. It has your fruits, your veggies, eggshell, green lip mussel. So it's all really, really good. If you can fit goat milk into your budget and can add that, 1, 2, 3 times a week. Wow, what a great nutritional boost, because it supports the GI, the gastrointestinal tract, and vitamins and minerals, and supports healthy digestion and the immune system. So it's great for gut health. If you want to feed a raw diet, that's what I do. There are great commercial brands out there like Primal or Steve's or Answers, Raw Bistro. They have some really good frozen raw options. But you want to go slow if you're adding a raw diet to a dog that's been fed kibble. There's also co-ops. So you can go to dogaware.com, and you can also just Google a local dog raw food co-op, and that will bring your price down. It's very affordable when you're buying in bulk with others. So those are my recommendations. Of course, feeding as much of a whole food diet as possible is the best, but just adding to your existing dog's food, these foods that we talked about, is going to give you a healthier dog. You're going to save on vet bills. And this is a great way to show you that you can transition to a whole food diet if that does fit into your budget. One thing I want to say about home cooking, a lot of people do home cook for their dog, and they say, oh, I make chicken and rice. That's fine, but chicken and rice is not nutritionally balanced. It's not complete nutrition for your dog. So I would suggest that you look at recipes that are from a nutritionist, or there are great websites out there that help you put together your own recipe. Petdiets.com and balanceit.com will help you with fresh feeding. So I think that's all that I wanted to share with everybody. And, I just want to thank you for being here. And my slides are now going. Sorry about that. but we can do better, and our dogs, just like us, deserve fresh, whole food. And, if you are a dog parent that wants to make a change and wants to make additions, bravo to you, because we have amazing dogs that deserve the best, and there are ways to do it on a budget. So hopefully this was great information for everybody. Please reach out to me at wagoutloud.com, and you'll see resources. You'll see my favorite products, and a lot of them do have discounts. We have events. There's so many great things there. So wagoutloud.com, and have a tail wagging day. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, way to go. That was fantastic.
Well,
I learned
my
so much.
slides worked. Sorry.
You know how StreamYard is, though. It happens. It's just for some reason. But you did great. And one thing that really stood out is when you talked about heating up the kibble, I think, and then they actually have to add everything back to it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of frightening.
Yes, Dr. Jacalyn, and that's why I have a hard time calling it food. It's feed. It's not food. And that's why so many of our dogs are having health issues and dying earlier and getting cancer, and the hot spots and the itchy and the ear infections. And I could go on and on. It's because of what they're fed. Dogs are carnivores. If you look at their body, if you look at their teeth, and they are not meant to eat so many processed carbohydrates. They are meant to eat meat and thrive on meat and fat. So what are we doing? Why are we feeding kibble? That's why I want to show everybody there's a better way.
Yeah, and Krista, when you and I first met, I shared with you, I'm going to get my little picture of my 3 little dogs, and I fed them dog food out of a bag, and guess what? They all died of cancer. They all died of cancer. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing and educating people, because we don't want any more dogs dying of cancer.
No, we don't. Or people, for that matter. We can do better ourselves. This goes hand in hand, right, Red?
It does, very, very much so. Really enjoyed your presentation. Pacing, transitions, everything was good. I love the tips you just throw in, because they're so easy. They're easy to remember. They're inexpensive. You shared some really good stats with us at the beginning about the amount of dollars spent and the percentage of cancer that's out there that most of us are not aware of it. I love the part where you said, "I'm not here to shame you." It says, "I used to be part of this group." That gives the credibility that I think really needs to be. It's like in my area, I try to make people aware based on my research, and that awareness then becomes education, and then hopefully action happens after that. But reading labels for pet food, my daughter has dogs. We don't. We used to years ago, but I think about
dogs.
Well, they are grand dogs, but they show up here when she does. Next Monday's her birthday, and she hopefully will be here with the 2 grand dogs. But it's just one of those things. And when I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, read the labels, synthetic vitamins, synthetic this, additives, all of which are carcinogenic. And you pointed that out. I learned some really neat stuff today. That you think about their dogs are carnivores, but we really don't. That there's a disconnect somewhere because we've always fed them this way. That's right. The way we've always done things. And I think if you can break the mindset, we've accomplished a lot. You mentioned today, make sure there's water available with the food if it's dry. If you're using a plant fiber, pulverize it. There's just so many good things that you talked about today. Put a little bit of this in 3 times a week. Things that are so simple to do that why can't we do it? I really and truly love the presentation because it makes so much sense. I'm kind of blown away a little bit because there's, just like in the human world, the animal world it's got a natural balance, and you disrupt that balance by feeding it too much of this. what's the body going to do? It's going to revolt in some kind of disease, most likely cancer, because it's something that happens for us over decades, for them over years.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, we're on the same path.
I just love when this happens and two people come together, and hopefully you guys will connect, and who knows, future collaborations of what could come of it. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. You're amazing.
Thank you. Back to you. Okay, Krista, I'm going to spotlight you. We have your banner showing, but please let our audience know, people are watching live and they're going to watch on the replay, and then people listen when it's a podcast. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you, and who should reach out to you?
Anybody that wants to learn how to be the best advocate for their dog's health and wellness, because we have to be. Nothing is regulated in the dog industry. Food, CBD, supplements, grooming products, nothing. So we have to step up and educate ourselves and make the decision on what's best for our dogs. So just go to wagoutloud.com and you can see all the resources and events and the podcasts. It's all free. And then I can be found on Instagram and Facebook at Wag Out Loud.
Woohoo! Wag Out Loud, everybody!
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm not sure, we're not going to disclose any information, but have you gone on that travel that we talked about earlier, or no? Did that already happen?
Oh, the Cabo travel?
Ooh, I wasn't going to say it. Yes.
Oh. Yes, I'm leaving this Sunday.
Have a great time. Nobody stalk her. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. O'Loughlin, please tell us how people can reach you and who should reach out to you.
I speak at least once a week, it seems like, in audiences like this one, or chambers of commerce and other events. So if you need a speaker, particularly in anything dealing with longevity, aging, older adults, health, wellness, more than happy to provide that to you. RedO'Loughlin.com is my website, but I'm kind of old-fashioned. Just my phone number, give me a call, 281-687-1188, 281-687-1188. Or my email, red.o'loughlin@gmail.com, is a good way to reach me. But whether it's speaking, whether you have questions on writing a book, I'm here to answer them, and I'm going to try to get you as easy, as inexpensive way as possible. And if you can do it yourself, I am super happy to guide you along the way. So I'm here to help.
Thank you, Red. You neglected to mention you're a Toastmaster. Woo! Fantastic. All right. Thank you both, beautiful people, for being here. I loved both of these presentations, just jam full of relevant and timely information. So thank you to both of you. Krista, have a great time. And I'll look forward to seeing you when you get back. And Red, I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. As always, I look forward to seeing you.
All right. Thank you both. Take care.
Appreciate you both. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, what a great show. I'm so pumped up. I love when we have people here who are at the top of their game, and they bring relevant information that we can all just gain from. And I don't have dogs anymore, but I listened to what Krista said. It makes a lot of sense. It's time that we take care of ourselves, and we take care of our animals, and we take care of our planet. If not now, when? So let's do what we can to be healthy and to take care of our pets, our family members, our communities, and our environment. I am thrilled that we have 2 more shows coming up today. Next is It's All About Dating. It's so funny. I don't have any dogs and I'm not dating, but I'm the show host. Yay. So right after that, we have our 100th episode of A Better You. And I feel so bad that I gave up drinking, because I would really like to toast this, but some things are just, you got to move forward with whatever you commit to. And as I mentioned before, not a paid spokesperson, but hard, 75 hard. I got my little countdown clock today. It came Only 70 days left. Woo! I am really pumped up. I went to this amazing yoga class today. The room was packed and everybody was like you were in a shower. And it was a very hard class. I even lost my voice, I think. So between that and this and that, I'm just psyched and ready to go. So I won't be celebrating with Chardonnay today at 5 o'clock Eastern time, but I will be celebrating with more water. I love it. All right. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate everybody. Thanks for following us. One more thing. I neglected to put up how you can schedule to be on the Power of Listening. Shame on me. Let me find my banner. It's so easy. All you have to do to attend is to go to Instagram, which is at Dr. Jacalyn, and then you can click on my link tree and the link is right there. And I promise you, this is a great seminar for everybody. I would love couples to come together. I think that would be nice because if you think about how many times you're in a situation with somebody and they're not hearing you and you're getting more and more frustrated and then you start arguing or maybe you're not talking to each other, I will give you real takeaways that you can use to help make your relationships even stronger. So thank you for listening to my little plug, selfish plug. All right. We'll see you later on It's All About Dating. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Krista. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Trying to find the closing credits. All right. Bye.